All right. I think we are live. Hopefully everything's coming through the way it should. Gonna give this a second, so hopefully it will catch up and I can hopefully see myself. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Tom W is here. Scarlett's is here. Glad to see you both hanging out in the chat. Always love seeing some familiar faces. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Saturday morning. Again, hopefully you guys can hear me. We've got Rob88V hanging out in the chat. That's awesome. We've got Jan. Great to see you again. Scarlett says, "How are you doing?" Not great. I'm fine. The kid got me sick over the holiday weekend, or the days leading up to the holiday. Anyway, I got up to grabbed dinner last night, and my head just felt like it was about to explode. I got dizzy. I got lightheaded. And he gave me a sinus infection. So that's what I'm currently working with right now. Got it under control. I've got some antibiotics from when I was sick last time and didn't finish my meds like you're supposed to. So I'm gonna be working on that over the next few days. I'm not sure how long we're gonna do this today. I really want to hang out and chat, that sort of thing. But we'll see. We'll see what my sinuses tell me here in the next half hour, 45 minutes. So, Borgswarm says, "What up, BB Tech? Missed you the last few weeks." Yeah, we did one last week. We didn't do one the week before because I just couldn't. My brain was just like, no, we're gonna veg. So that's what I did. Jason Budney says, "Good morning, all." Tom says, "Last live stream was great. Hope you do more like that." Me too. Me too. I want to start doing more interactive podcast, not necessarily podcast style. I don't know why I even said that word, but just like hanging out with somebody else in the community. I've got some people who have expressed interest in hanging out and chatting. So I'm going to try to do some more of that. I will say the one thing that made that difficult was trying to keep up with everything going on. I spit there. Between, switching back and forth for what was on the screen and maintaining conversation with the other two guys and trying to keep up with the chat and just trying to do all of it was a lot. And I don't know if it was the number of people or if it was the conversation or what it was, but like I was having a hard time keeping up. So I'll have to figure out, and maybe it'll come down to practice, right? Nobody's good at something the first time they do it. The way we did that last week was kind of a hodgepodge mess of getting audio inputs to work. Like they could hear me on one, but you guys couldn't hear me on that. So I was actually talking to you guys through this microphone and talking to them through my Audio Technica shotgun mic. It was just a weird thing that I had to do to get it all to work. But I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. Really enjoyed it. So hopefully we can start doing more of those with other members of the community, whether it's one of you guys or a Discord mod or developer. We'll see. I don't know, but I really did enjoy it, and I hope we can keep doing those in the future. So yeah, we'll see what happens. What else we got here? Last stream was cool. I appreciate that. The sinus thing is going around. We're also dealing with it. Yeah, that sucks, man. My kid's got this thing where he'll just like cough right in your face. Or sneeze or whatever. And luckily he didn't get me, but he got my wife. And of course my wife and I sleep in the same bed. Gasp. But yeah, so he tagged her with a cough the other day and she's not feeling well. And my immune system is garbage, has been for a long time. So now I'm suffering the consequences of it the most of anybody in the house. So, it is what it is, but I'm gonna keep taking the meds. I'm gonna keep drinking my hot drinks. This is coffee, which isn't great for me, I know, but sleep was rough last night trying to sleep through the beginnings of a sinus infection. So Yeah, Eric says, first time viewer, love the videos. Well, thank you so much. I'm really glad you had an opportunity to hang out for a few minutes today. I really do appreciate seeing new people joining in the live streams and hanging out. Jan, I didn't mean to ignore you. Thank you so much for the gifted membership. Really appreciate you for that. Alexia is here as well. AdioJoe627 is hanging out. Michael Sims says, chat, anyone can recommend a good local password manager. I tried to look one up, but it feels like most of the ones I see rank are just ads. I use Vault Warden. KeyPass is another popular one. But like I've been using Vault Warden as my password manager server, and then Bitwarden as my browser extension. Bitwarden and Vault Warden work together, like not on purpose, but yeah, Vault Warden is the one that I use. Been really happy with it for a number of years, actually. Even got my wife using it as well. So when we first got together, she was one of those people that used one password for everything. And I told her that wasn't a good idea. And at that point, I wasn't self-hosting anything. This is pre-self-hosting. So I got her set up with LastPass Premium, because I also had LastPass Premium. And it was fine for a little while, and then they're like, "Oh, our rates are going up, and oh, you can only use this on one device at a time." And there was putting all these restrictions in and adding cost and taking away features, and I was like, "Well, screw you guys. I'm going to bite the bullet and bring this in house." So that's what I did, and she's actually been happier with Vault Warden and Bitwarden, that combo, than she ever was with LastPass. So. But that's not to say there aren't issues from time to time. She has still threatened several times to just ditch the password manager and just go back to using one password for everything. And I mean, she wants to do that. I hope she doesn't, but I think she just gets frustrated and blurts out that kind of thing. Because I think we all do that from time to time. Like, screw it, I'll just go back to the old way of doing things. So, yeah, let's see. Nice to see you finally moved to Zigbee. Finally, dude, that's no kidding, man. I actually ordered another pack of the Third Reality smart plugs because Thanksgiving night we were hanging out, we were playing cards after eating and everything, and one of the lights started flickering and buzzing, and I was like, holy crap, what is that? And one of the cats had knocked a drink off the window ledge right onto the smart plug. So luckily it was one I wanted to get rid of anyway. It was one of the Tuya based things. So I just immediately swapped it out for another one of the Zigbee Third Reality ones. I love it. I love their whole platform. Super, super easy to set up. And honestly, I wish I'd seen this before. I'm going to have to try to remember, see if I can find it, because it's always hiding from me. Devices and services. We're going to go to Zigbee. Devices. Where is it? I can never find it when I really want it. Entities visualization. Here we go. This. I wish I had remembered to put this in the video I did with the tablets showing their mesh networking. I completely spaced out that this was a thing until like 2 days later. And I was like, oh man, like this would have been such a cool way to show how they all connect together to have a self-healing mesh network. And I just spaced it until well after the fact. So yeah. Let's see, Bitwarden, good. Bitwarden for now. In the future, I want to move to Vault Warden. I've got the Vault Warden self-hosted server, and I use the Bitwarden browser extension. There's another argument for self-hosting. Absolutely. Try to YubiKey. Yeah, I've actually got 2 different YubiKeys on my keyring at all times. I've got a third one stored in my drawer. And I've got a pack of them somewhere that YubiKey actually sent me as a promotional thing for their new generation of stuff. I love them. I absolutely love YubiKey stuff.
And I've been wanting to get my wife to use them as well, um, but I think that's she's not nearly into tech like I am, and I think it would be frustrating for her. So for now, I use them. She doesn't, and it works out pretty well. Let's see. Third reality are the best. I agree. Look, and I say that the only real Zigbee stuff I've ever used really is third reality. I think maybe I've got a Shelly plug that's also Zigbee, but I could be wrong about that. I don't remember if my Shelly plug is Zigbee or not. Um, and one thing I noticed with Zigbee is the devices remember its setup even when unpowered for a long time. Yeah, I I had a Wise bulb on my front porch for years, well after leaving the Wise ecosystem, and went to and replaced it with a Zigbee bulb, and it wouldn't like it. I was like, well, why didn't it go into pairing mode? And I couldn't figure it out. And I couldn't figure it out. And I couldn't figure it out. And I finally got it to reset. And I was like, oh yeah. And so I went back in and looked, and it had already been assigned a name. It had already been set up at one point, and I misconfigured it and got frustrated and said I'll deal with it later, and grabbed a fresh bulb. And then when I used that wonky bulb later, it worked just fine. So I don't know what happened there, but Jay Collins says, I'm here. Glad to have you here, man. Always happy to see you here in chat. If you're new here, Collins is a Discord mod, and I think maybe also a YouTube mod. I don't remember. Yeah, managing moderator. Collins is a moderator, so be nice, or he'll do something mean to you. Scarlett says Wise has gone downhill. Yeah, I liked them a lot with their Gen 1 and Gen 2 cameras. I loved them. And then after that, it's like, oh, we're going to do vacuums and we're going to do this. It's like, dude, pick a lane, man. Like, your cameras were amazing. Stay there. But then they just went everything smart home. And it's like, oh, cool. Now you're going to do a lot of things kind of a lot worse. So, yeah, so I've completely stepped away from the Wise ecosystem. Just because, and especially after, like with the Gen 1 cams, you could flash webcam or like a third-party or community-driven firmware to them. And then they, for a very short time, had that for the Gen 2s. And then I don't know what happened after that, because I left shortly thereafter. That's right. Collins does have God mode in the band wrench. The third reality switch for my Christmas tree, and it was in the box for a year. Plugged it in, and no repair from last year. That's pretty impressive. Like, that's pretty impressive that it stored it for almost a full year with no issues. Let's see. Oh yeah, and Wise doesn't natively support Home Assistant. But if you got a Gen 1, you can flash that community driven firmware and use RTSP with it. But even that's not great. ThingVin has been a revolutionary for Wise cameras. I don't know what ThingVin is. That's a new term for me. And Google's not giving me anything. A car is a better local hardware manufacturer, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I thought that for a while too. But hold on, I'm going to grab something. This is the Aqara FP2 presence sensor, and I've got 3 of these. I had one that I set up in the bedroom for light automations when my wife and I go in there, have the lights automatically come on, that sort of thing. And it was fine. It's been great. It's been up and running for a while. And then I decided I was going to kind of go all in on these. So I bought one for out here, and I bought one for the kids' room, and I'll be damned if I can get them to stay on, or connected to my network, or like just one issue after another, having to remove them and re-add them and remove them and re-add them. is just infuriating. And it's only every once in a while, and it's only like the one in our bedroom. I don't have any wood here, but has been fine, right? But the one out here and the one in the kids' bedroom, spotty at best, without having to remove it about once a week and re-add it and rebuild all of my automations. Oh, excuse me. And that was kind of that, and like when I showed the Plex automation in my last video with the tablets and whatnot. Those buttons now control the automations I had set up for this in the kid's room. I had it set up so that when he walked in, once it detected somebody that was in the room for more than like 30 seconds or something, the TV would come on and start playing the last show. And then when it didn't detect anybody in the room, it would shut the TV off after like 5 minutes. And that was just because sometimes they'd be a little wonky and wouldn't recognize when somebody was in the room. So I gave it like a 5-minute chance to recover from whatever it was or wasn't recognizing. And then they just stopped working. Like I can plug them in and they'll be fine for a while. So as much as I like the idea behind Aqara, I have a hard time trusting that they're going to do what I want them to do. And like Colin says, they are spendy. Yeah, and what made Wise great was they were quality and low cost, and then they lost their quality. Interesting. Sorry, I'm coming back to what Collins was talking about earlier as far as what's been revolutionary for Wise cameras. So I'm guessing that these are firmwares that you can load onto different devices. This is actually pretty cool. I've got some cameras from, man, and it's funny when you look at like this Neos Smart Cam 2, this Next HT, the Atom Cam 2, the Atom Cam 1. They all sure do look a lot like Wise. Like they all look very, very similar to Wise. But I need to come through here and see if any of the other cameras that I've got from a company whose name completely escapes me. Wook, holy sh... This is interesting. Oh, damn it. So, okay. So the cameras I've got are Wook cameras. And if so, Collins, is this thingino.com? Are these what do these firmwares do, I guess, is my question. Because if this does what I think it does, built on, okay, does not try to build a universe firmware file, okay. So would using this, in theory, allow me to connect, say, my Wook camera? Okay, so into an IP cam. Interesting. So that means, in theory, I could actually put a couple of the cameras that I have in different places to use via IP cam, and it wouldn't be perfect. This might actually... This is actually pretty neat, because I'm pretty sure I've got both of these Wook cameras and some of these as well. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's an interesting idea. A Wise camera configured in Home Assistant via ONVIF integration now directly. Interesting. Okay, well then I'm gonna have to take a look at that later, because that's a bonkers idea. Part of me wants to make a video about it, but then I wonder if the idiots at YouTube would get me for harmful or dangerous acts or something, because that's what they like to do when you show somebody how to repurpose something. Oh man, that's still really hot. But that's really good to know. I'm gonna have to dig through that some more. I'm gonna save that. Come back and look at that later, because that's pretty awesome.
Oh man. So how was everybody else's weekend? I know not everybody here's from the United States, but if you are, did you have a good Thanksgiving? If you're not, how was your regular week? I'd love to hear about that. Uh, let's see. Speaking of cameras, anyone in chat have a recommendation for anti-glare window film? I have a G4 inside my window. The glare makes it or not reliable for notifications. That sucks. Turkeyed out. Yeah, man, I get that. Anti-glare film for glass. I mean, of course, I don't know where you're from, but there's clear window security film, anti-shatter, heat-resistant safety window glass protection. None of this says anything about glare, though. This is like window tinting for your house. Huh, that's cool. Great Thanksgiving. Fridge died yesterday. Oh my God. $2K for a new one and all the lost food. Dude, that sucks, man. I am really sorry to hear that. That's no good at all. True Passion says, hi, just deployed OpenSense firewall on Proxmox. Now I feel awesome. Good. That's really awesome. I've always had this weird resistance about hosting a firewall virtually. I've always felt like those should be bare metal. And I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong when I say that, but because of the way my brain works, I always feel like things like a firewall should be bare metal rather than virtualized. And I don't know why I think that. I think it's just my brain's too dumb sometimes to process how that would work effectively. But it was 20 years old. We got our use out of it. Just timing sucks. Yeah. Are you guys getting side-by-side ads? I wondered when they were going to start rolling that out. They'd sent me something recently, saying that they were looking into doing that. So I'm not sure. I'm actually going to pull myself up over here. No ads here. Well, but you've got YouTube Premium, don't you? Yep. That definitely sucks. Apparently, they've also added engage with your audience. Start a poll. No. Sorry, I'm looking. There's new stuff that they said that they were adding. Buy memberships for viewers, unlock membership only perks, super chat, super stickers. There was, holy cow. They said that they were enabling like gems or something. That's kind of like what Twitch has with their bits. And I don't know if I don't have it activated on this stream or what. I'm still not entirely sure what they're doing sometimes. Customization, live reaction, slow mode, redirect trailer. Nothing there. Don't really see anything. But they've been talking about like adding these weird gems or something as a way to help creators generate more revenue from live streams, which is great, but it just feels like they're definitely ripping off Twitch in that regard. So I don't know what that is. Just weird. Let's see. Oh yeah. Doesn't cut you off, just runs the ad in a split screen. I'm honestly I'm glad, because like there are times where we're actually, looking at a specific like single topic, where we're going to investigate a specific application that we're gonna do a deep dive on one application during a live stream. Having the ad interrupt that could cause the viewer to miss something important.
So I'm glad that they're actually running it side by side, though I don't know what that looks like. So, but yeah, I just some of this stuff that they're doing, like I know that they're trying to help YouTubers or their creators generate more money because of course then they generate more money. But yeah, well, I don't know. Twitch ripoff, yep. It used to cut you off on the good parts. Yeah, that's exactly what I was. That's why I'm glad they've kind of done the side by side thing. I'd be okay with a banner ad at the bottom every once so often. I think they do that still sometimes, but those don't convert as well. I don't know how well the interruptive ads actually convert. Because I can't think of a time I've ever intentionally clicked an ad to go learn more about whatever the ad was. But I've also had the YouTube Premium for quite a while now, so I don't even know what kind of ads are running these days. It's better with the split screen because Twitch makes you watch and then pauses the stream, full interruptions. But love YouTube Premium, no ads. Yep. I think they see banner ads as clickable revenue. They do. I'm not sure how well, or I don't know what the conversion rate is on that versus the video ads, like the commercials. Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. Use FreeTube. Yeah, I guess that's an option. I used to do that, but then I started getting butthurt when I saw my revenue also going down. So I was like, I'll spend I spend like $25 a month now because I also got my wife on YouTube Premium because she watches more stuff on YouTube lately, and the ads were driving her nuts. So I just got the family package of YouTube Premium. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that the creators that I actually watch regularly still get at least something from my viewing habits, and no hard feelings on using something like FreeTube or ad blockers or whatever. I know it's not for everybody, and not everybody has the ability to afford those things. So yeah, it just I'm glad I'm getting the views is really what it boils down to. So yeah. Can't stand that about Twitch. I can provide Indian credit card if someone wants cheap premium. Oh, definitely not legal. Definitely not legal, True Passion. No, there was actually somebody that was talking about people doing that, like switching their location to a cheaper area and buying a membership there and then switching back to their local area. And YouTube finally caught on and started banning accounts. Worksworm says I use ad blockers, but I also donate to my favorite creators once in a while. I think that's all we're really asking for. Like, here's the thing, right? If you donated $1, right, to every YouTuber that you watch, or let's say you donated $1 to your 10 top YouTubers that you watch on a regular basis, you would actually be paying them more than what those ads would be worth. Like each ad placement is only worth a fraction of a penny, really, in the grand scheme of things. So, because like a 1,000 ad impressions is currently netting me about $3, right? So if you gave each of your top 10 favorite creators $1 a month, they would actually be making more off of you than you watching the ads. So just one of those weird little things. YouTube Premium also replaces Pandora Radio and Spotify for me since it comes with YouTube Music. Ported my playlist from Spotify and it's wonderful. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that. My wife and I use Spotify a lot, and I know that there's a whole issue with them right now with some of the ads that they're running. Honestly, I didn't know about it until I saw it online because we pay for the premium ad-free version. so we don't get those ads. And I know a lot of people are real pissed off at Spotify for some of the ads they've been running. But it's cool that you're able to do that, JJ. That's pretty neat. YouTube Premium family. My kids have no clue how good or how great they have life, right? Absolutely. Well, thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. I wasn't trying to get guilt anybody there, but I appreciate it nonetheless. YouTube has Premium Lite. They hide it well, but it's an option. I don't know. Do you just get like ads, but like fewer ads? YouTube Premium Lite. Interesting. Let's see. This is about introducing Premium Lite. From March of 2025, introducing Premium Lite. Watch your favorite creators ad-free. Today we'll be expanding our Premium Lite pilot to users in the US. Premium Lite gives viewers a new, more affordable way to enjoy most videos on YouTube ad-free for $8 a month. In the coming weeks, we'll also make Premium Lite available for all users in our current pilot countries, Thailand, Germany, and Austria. Wow. So, okay, so you don't get music or downloads, which I don't use anyway, and you get most videos ad-free: gaming, fashion, beauty, news, etc. That's actually a pretty good deal, really, if that's all you want to use it for. Of course, they don't make it easy to get to, do they? Well, JJ, I appreciate that. I really do. Let's see. Join Premium Lite. Let's see what this says. Watch most videos ad-free. Ads may appear on music, content, shorts, and when you search or browse. Weird. Well, yeah, if you want to check out Premium Lite, I can share this. This will make it a little bit easier, I guess, for people who are looking for it. What do we have there? Oh, good. Some of the comments I get, man. Some of the comments, but that's all right. That's what they're there for. I have a Spotify family account and have it integrated with Home Assistant, and it works great. I would like to do that at some point. I think that'd be a lot of fun to integrate that, but I think I'd be the only one that would use it. My wife just uses the app on her desktop, and that's what I do too. So yeah, but of course, I like to integrate other things in there. Of course, what I really should be doing is getting the music that I like, that I'm more likely to listen to, and put it all over on my server and then access it locally. But I also like getting new music that I'm not familiar with, and I get a lot of that from Spotify as well. Sometimes I will just like pick a genre and let it just do what it's going to do. And I found some cool artists that way, but that's, and I think that's why I haven't probably gone all local as far as music is concerned, because I still like to know just the random stuff that's out there. Can't get my wife away from Spotify. I use YouTube Music since it's part of YouTube Premium. It's just so much work to obtain the volume of music that I'd want. Yeah, there obviously there are ways to do that, but like I think I've got like, I don't know, like 40 gigs or something of music. Maybe it's more than that, and I haven't touched it in so long. I haven't touched my local stuff in so long, and I probably should, or I should probably just delete it if I'm not going to use it, but my local music library is on Home Assistant and also Plex Amp. Yeah, I actually, so it's funny. I don't remember when it was. I did a video about Plex Amp. When was that? Plex Amp. In January of 2021, just to kind of show, how Plex Amp worked as far as just a music only service that you could basically self-host via Plex. And of course, the problem with Plex Amp is that it also requires the Plex Premium or whatever it's called. But I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I want to make a video about this, but I don't want to pay for Plex Pass. That's what it's called. And they're like, oh, here you go. So I got a lifetime comped license. So that's been really nice. Let's see. My local music library is basically just live music. You know, I don't like live recordings of things. And I know it's just my neurodivergence there, but I'm so used to hearing, you know, the album release version, because that's what we hear most of the time. And I think there might be one or two songs that I prefer the live version of. But for the most part, if a live version of a song comes on a playlist or the radio or whatever, I will immediately skip it. I hate, because it's usually just different enough. And I understand that that's how music works. I used to play in a band. We were kind of a house or a bar band for a long time at one specific place. And I know that each version of the song, or each time you play the song, will be a little bit different. But as a casual listener to my favorite music, I've been conditioned that it's supposed to sound this way. And when I hear a live recording of something on the radio or streaming or whatever, it's not right. And the little differences frustrate me. I've messed around with Navidrome in the past. Yeah, I made a video about Navidrome at one point. Really liked the app. I thought it was a great app at the time. Jellyfin does music really well. Use N8N to download the songs via that when adding it to a karaoke list. That's a pretty cool idea. I dig that. Colin says, I've been a big DMB fan for like 30 years. First time I saw them in concert was May of 99. Been to over 30 shows. That's crazy. I've got a friend that I went to high school with that is very similar to that. I don't remember when, but he and a couple of his friends go to the Gorge every year when they're up there, and they'll camp out for like however long that show lasts up at the Gorge. And they've been doing it every year for as long as I can remember. And we went, like I said, we went to high school together. So yeah, they've got some dedicated people. Borgstorm says, I'm the same way. I don't do live versions except for a very few songs. Yeah. The Gorge, it's a bucket list show weekend. Yeah. I always thought it would be neat. Like I like Dave Matthews. Their stuff. I've always enjoyed the over complex nature of their music has always been really intriguing to me. Because they've got like 30 people in their band at any given point, it seems. Between all of the backup singers and all of the backup like performers and they've always got like so many people. And it's crazy that they're able to do that. Yeah, current members 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess 7 people currently as their main. But it seems like they've always got like a dozen people playing horns and all kinds of different stuff going on as well. So concert videos and stuff I can't get on Spotify locally on Jellyfin. The Gorge is a beautiful venue. I believe that. Yeah, the Gorge in Washington. That's correct. Yeah, like I'm originally from Idaho, and so like going up there. I mean, it'll take you probably half a day or 3/4 of a day or whatever to drive up there, and then you hang out for the weekend or however long the show goes, and then you drive home. CJ says, I've been Homelab dabbling for a few years. We started using Claude Code to help build out my current services, and suddenly my skills/time gap stopped being a barrier. That's awesome. I love hearing that. I actually use Claude pretty regularly when I'm trying to troubleshoot things. I've also tried, like, of course, Gemini
and all of the other ones. And then somebody brought Claude to my attention, and I'm actually really impressed with Claude's ability to help me troubleshoot stuff, sometimes better than Gemini or GPT. Not always, but sometimes. I still have a licensed version of Sam DJ Broadcaster from the days I used to have my own internet radio station before the RIAA killed it. That sucks. Never been there. I've never been there either, but I've had friends that, like I say, go up there all the time. I've never been to the Gorge. Hard because I don't drive. That would do it. Let's see. Did I switch from ChatGPT and Gemini to Claude a couple of days ago? Yeah, like I said, they're great. Claude's been really, really great with code-related things. Oh, man. Let's see. Oh, man. Hold on. Where are we here? There we go. All right. Well, then, let's, man. Sorry, I'm just taking a look over here at the self-host newsletter, just to see kind of what's going on here. I very rarely look at these until we're on the live stream, because I like to experience a lot of this for myself at the same time you do here on the live stream. Let's see. As a former OTA driver, been to the Gorge too much and the wrong time of year. I believe that. Anyone noticing crazy increase in new and used hardware? Evidently, manufacturing has started to dedicate all of their capacity to AI. It's true. We actually. So let me see if I've got Discord open over here. What is this? I posted a picture somewhere over here. If I can find it. Yeah, there we go. Just to help prove or validate, your point there. This is 64 gigs of DDR5, 6,000. Almost $800 for 64 gigs of RAM. Like that's disgusting. Like this 6 months ago would have cost you a couple $100. And now it's like 800. And this is only one that I saw. There were others. There were more and less. This is kind of the same. The general price for this right now. I was blown away when I saw 64 gigs for $800. Just kind of grossed out. Must be a lot of us in the Pacific Northwest. I used to be up there. Like I said, I grew up in Idaho. I spent a little bit of time in Georgia in the early 2000s, but mostly in Idaho. And I moved here 2007, I think. Been real happy with it. Vaz says, you okay? Flu? Seems like you need a whiskey to fix that. You're absolutely right. I am. I do have like a sinus infection, chest cold thing going on. Not a lot of fun. Rhinovirus going around lately. I right here, man. Dell and HP evidently may not get delivery in parts they'd already ordered. The entire industry is headed for a real serious problem. Yeah, I agree. I bought some Micron stock the other days. There's talk that RAM shortage could go to the next couple of years. I believe that. I 100% believe that. They and I think a lot of it has to do with so much going to AI right now, and NVIDIA and all of that stuff. OpenAI bought all the RAM along with unfinished wafers. That sounds about right. I don't know that that's true or not, but it sounds about right. Yeah. 4th of July pass sucks in the winter. Been out there a few times. Yeah, with AI being RAM hungry. Yeah. So
So it estimates of a decade of this before consumers start getting relief. That a decade would suck my balls. That's insane. I hope that's wrong. AD Max 395 Plus systems are the canary in the coal mine. Edge interfacing and enterprise interfacing are going to eat RAM for breakfast for a long time. I think you'll see a lot more APUs than GPUs. It wouldn't surprise me, and that sucks because there's going to be a lot of people out there that want to game on new stuff or start new games rather. My words would work. That won't be able to because they won't be able to afford a GPU. Even a GPU that's a couple of generations old isn't necessarily what I would call affordable these days. Let's look for a 4060 Ti. Let's see what this looks like. 4060 Ti. That's just a 4060 8 gig. That's a 4060 Ti 8 gig. Sub 300. There we go. So here's a Asus DualForce GTX 16 gig for $395. It's a rumor, but it looks to be coming true. That bubble needs to burst soon. I agree. When you have data centers that have 1 million plus servers in them and each with a terabyte of RAM in them, yeah, one can see why we're in for a really rough ride. That is absolutely true. And that's a good question, Scarlett. How is RAM worse than a GPU? These are secondhand. Let's look up, what was it? 64 gigabytes of DDR5. So this is close to the same thing. So, as far as, it's the same 2 sticks at 6,000 for 321. It still is awful. I agree. 64 gigs, 285, 250. It's a little slower. It's still a little slower there. 64 gigs of DDR5 will still run you $300 used. But so here's the thing. 250 is better, right? But it's the 5200 megahertz versus the 6000. Of course, depending on which CPU you've got. Your CPU may not support 6000, so maybe 5200 is the way to go. But yeah, no, this is, here you go. Pre-owned, $700. Get bent. Like, no chance, bro. Just these prices are ridiculous. $32 gigs for $280. Like, what are these people smoking? I just don't get it. But I think we're going to see this for a while. Yeah, even DDR4 on the secondary markets is way up because of the fabs have stopped producing DDR4 to make capacity for DDR5 and HBM. Yep. I have heard rumor that some manufacturers are bringing back their DDR4 production to help offset some of this. But I don't know to what degree, because I don't know how profitable it will be for those manufacturers to do this, and nobody's going to do it out of the goodness of their heart. So I'll definitely be curious to see how long DDR4 goes back into production to help with the alleviation of this sort of thing. Fingers crossed that my hardware doesn't break in the next couple of years. Yeah, man, absolutely. Get bent is such a 90s insult. I love it. Yeah, 90s kid here. And I've been watching Futurama, so that doesn't help either. My RAM went up in value. Right, isn't that something? Getting bent is definitely a good thing in some people's world. It's true. I'm going to go ahead and allow that. Personally, I think SSD and NVMe and eventually hard drives are next. It's possible, though. I don't know that it's as likely. Like we had that issue a little bit when there was that, was it? Oh, I had it. It wasn't. There was like a crypto blockchain thing that was dependent on hard drive capacity, and when people started getting into that, Chia. There you go. When Chia
started getting popularity, we saw prices go up. So I'm definitely curious to see what SSDs and NVMEs do, but I don't know that it'll be quite as bad as the RAM sector, whether it's VRAM or system RAM. I just go digging into stockpiles and make some money, right? Yeah, I don't blame you. Excuse me. Given the work my company is doing around AI, storage is not likely to increase in price. It's not a bottleneck resource anywhere in AI workloads, right? Yeah, it's all about the RAM and how powerful your GPU is. It's not to say that there aren't certain things that will respond better, but if you've got a model that's 24 gigs, it's all going to go to your VRAM if your GPU is powerful enough for that. So I don't know that obviously you'll need it for storage, but the idea is that you'll download your LLM or your LLM, and it will get loaded into RAM. So you'll need it for the initial onloading of the LLM onto the VRAM. So having a faster drive there will definitely be beneficial. But once it's loaded, as long as the system is using that language model, it should stay loaded and shouldn't be a big deal. But again, I'm not nearly as versed in AI as a lot of people. I'm genuinely not. I use it for a few different things. But beyond that, I am very, very uneducated as far as that sort of thing is concerned. Yeah, that's CJ Nim is reinforcing what I'm saying there. A 2020 build is not bad. I have a 2020 hardware except for my GPU. Collins, thank you for saying that. If you don't forget to like this stream if you're enjoying the hangout. Yeah, like we actually just replaced both of our systems recently. My wife and I both had systems that we built right before COVID hit. We had AMD Ryzen 5 2600s with RTX 2070s that were great. In fact, the system that I'm using right here for the live stream is using one of my old 2070s. My system in the other room, other part of the house, has an A3000 GPU in it with 8 gigs, and my wife's system has an RX 7600, I think, with 16 gigs of RAM, and an 6900 HX GPU, and she doesn't even have to think about whatever game she wants to load. It just goes because it's got 16 gigs of VRAM though. So. The shift in these new CPUs that have AI capabilities that hurts RAM prices. Here's the thing. Like I've got a couple of different systems with those CPUs in them, and currently, in fact, I think this one does too. Right here, the NPU in this is right there. I don't remember what CPU this has got. Ryzen 7 8845HS. But it's got the NPU in it, and it's effectively useless with the things that I do. Like it's really good for Zoom meetings. It's really good for that sort of thing. As far as being able to like blur out your background and remove background noise, it's really good for that. But until more people are developing applications that will utilize the NPU, it's not really good for much of anything. So, let's see. I can get my hand on a few Dell Optiplex micros. Is there a better power solution that have a bunch of power supplies laying all over the place? I mean, the thing is, you're either gonna have to have a bigger case, Eric, that has the power supply in it. Not necessarily like a full size or even a mid tower, but something bigger that has the power supply in it. Or you're going to have the power supplies on the outside. Like these mini PCs back here, obviously power supplies on the outside, but there's always going to be a trade-off. So DNS issues suck, especially when it's
especially when you're dealing with that. I'm guessing you're doing online gaming and you were having frame drop issues. Fixing the DNS server and forcing IPv6. I'm not doing anything IPv6 right now. I don't. Like, I think technically I might have an IPv6 address, but I don't ever use it. I'll be fine with my 13700K and 1600 XT for a while. Yeah, you should be just fine with that. Interesting. JJ, what did you set your DNS to? I'm just curious. On the positive, AI is accidentally creating great home servers, $2,000 to $3,000 boxes with 128 gigs of RAM, a 10 gig LAN port, solid CPU and GPU core counts make for very versatile Homelab boxes. Yeah, like the Alaris one that I reviewed recently is a great little box. I actually tried to install Windows on it the other day because I was curious, but there's a PCI to PCI adapter somewhere in the chain of events in the hardware that Windows cannot find a driver for. I spent like 3 days looking for drivers and trying all kinds of different things to get the drivers to load, and it wouldn't recognize it. So it wouldn't load the 5090 the 5090 that's in there, which I was really, really bummed about. I would love to put Windows 11 on that device and just rock out with that as my main system with 96 gigs of RAM and 24 gigs of VRAM. Would be an awesome desktop machine, but it won't recognize the drivers for one part that keeps the GPU from loading in Windows. So, El Jedidev, I know I got that wrong, says, hello there, thanks for the videos. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you stopping by and saying hi. I'm going to have a hard time getting people to pay for and use AI if the AI eat the consumer computer practically production capability. People won't have a computer to access the AI. That's pretty accurate. Yeah. But here's the thing. I think a lot of companies are deliberately forcing people to put their AI apps on your phone. Like a while back, I got an offer from Perplexity to what's this? To get I got like a free year Perplexity Pro, and whatever their browser is, because I've got a PayPal account or whatever. I actually had two different things that offered me the same offer, but a lot of these companies want you to not put it on your PC. They want you to put it on your phone so that they can suck up all your data. Because even if you've exited the app on your phone, they're still collecting data in the background because you let them, because without letting them, you can't use their app. And that's what a lot of companies are doing. There are certain apps that I will install for that 10 minutes that I need it. And as soon as I'm done with it, I uninstall it because I don't want them collecting my data. And I think it's a real shady way that a lot of these companies are directing things. Was gaming, I set my DNS to Cloudflare IPv6, fixed all my problems, especially for gaming. That's awesome. My wife and I have actually been playing Fallout 76 quite a bit over the last month, and have really been enjoying it. And I was having some real bad frame drop issues just from time to time. And despite me doing everything I could to get my system to only use the NVIDIA GPU versus the iGPU from the Core Ultra processor, I've got my monitor plugged into the HDMI port on the laptop, so it's a direct connect. But the only way I can get that to work so that it will only use the NVIDIA GPU and not the iGPU is to close my laptop lid so that my big monitor will directly use it. And I haven't had, I think, any issues so far since I started doing that. It's just a dumb thing that I figured out the other day. AI is creating two camps, people doing it all on their phone and the techie crowd moving all the way back to the terminal/CLI. AI in the terminal was a game changer for me. That's interesting. I've seen that, and there's a couple. In fact, I think on the Alaris, by default, Ollama wants to run in the terminal. So I installed OpenWeb UI because I didn't like to do it the other way. But it's interesting that so many people are going back to using the terminal for that sort of thing. Do you use SafeLine in production? I don't. And then what do you think about self-hosting WAF applications? I would love to do that. The problem that I had, like, I loved the idea of SafeLine, but I thought their prices were too high. So mostly I've got my stuff split between Pangolin and Cloudflare at this point. But if I could find a good web application firewall, and I don't know if Xeraxi might be what I'm looking for there. But I think it's a great idea. I love the idea of using a WAF, but beyond that, I don't really do it. Let's see. Tom says, not that the APU and the newer ones coming out now with the Radeon 8060S graphics can do LLMs by using the system RAM as VRAM. Huh. That hurt prices also because most of those systems have a lot of RAM in them. So are they doing like a unified thing with the RAM there then, Tom? Is that what you're getting at? Because I know that was the big selling point on the NVIDIA GTX was the unified system. Same thing with the new Apple Silicon, is that it's all unified memory that can be kind of split between the system however. Okay, and see, that makes more sense. If it's unified, and that was one of the things that got brought up a couple of times on that Alaris thing, is they should have gone unified. The problem with this setup is that they've basically thrown a laptop into a box. And I think it was all third-party hardware that they put together and put in a box and threw their operating system on. So I think the idea of going unified there would have been a great idea. I just don't think that's a version 1 on this. Maybe version 2, if they do another Alaris device, they might go that route, but I don't know. Let's see. Is there an update on the Homelab starter series? Man, I want to so very badly continue that series. I've got scripts written out for like the next 5 videos. I just haven't recorded them. I've got scripts written out for videos on this channel that I just haven't recorded yet. My like I'm on some new, and I say new, for the last few months I've been on some new ADHD meds for the first time in my life, and a lot of it's been really good, and some of it's not been bad, but it hasn't been as good as I would like. And honestly, the kid's been real weird over the past few weeks. Like when the time change hit, he's just been kind of a dick. Like when in that hour leading up to dinner time, he is a 2-parent individual that whole time, and it's this constant stress that he's being like this. I want to make more videos there. Even my therapist wants me to make more videos there because she wants to turn her house into a smart home as well. I don't know. I want to get it done. I got to find the mental fortitude to do it. Follows the app line. Bocce 572 says, sorry I'm late. I don't know if it's been asked. Proxmox 9 and App Armor issues. Some Docker containers wouldn't run. Has this been discussed? It has not been discussed. I haven't looked at it at all. I haven't touched the new version of Proxmox. I've only seen a couple of people talking about it. Techno-Tim did a video on OCI images, which I know is redundant, but basically running Docker without Docker installed there. So, which is funny because like so many people, when I made my video about my Proxmox setup and how all of my services each have their own LXC, which is just an LXC running Docker with the applications on it, I got a lot of crap for that, and rightfully so. Like what I'm doing is not the most secure way to handle what I'm doing, because the LXCs share the system kernel, and if something gets out of the Docker container that it's in, it could then hit the kernel and cause issues, right? That's the downside of doing that. But it seems like that's what this new OCI thing is doing with with the new Proxmox OCI container thing. I don't know. I'll be curious to see where they go with that. Running Docker without Docker seems kind of weird, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Like when I was watching Tim's video about it, I was actually like live chatting about it in Discord. Nobody was responding, which was fine. But I was just like, what? Like, why? They're doing the thing that I've been doing for a long time, but in a different way. But the problem with it, like if you watch Techno Tim's video on it, he did a really good job of explaining it. The problem with it is that you grab the image and you deploy it, but it's like you ran Docker Compose up without the -D. So it's constantly running in the terminal effectively. So you can't get in there and do certain things without shutting the container down. And then you've got to do all of your environment variables in the Proxmox interface, which I just thought was weird. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going that route just yet. How's the Home Assistant setup going? It's a deep rabbit hole. It absolutely is, Rodney. I actually ran into an issue. I finally did all of my Home Assistant updates the other day, and it broke some of my stuff. Some of my automations broke because the devices that I had set up as the triggers for those things were no longer there, so it broke the whole automation. So I had to figure out a way to circumvent that, to get certain automations to only be triggerable via a button press. And I found a stupid way to do it, but it works, and I'm fine with that. I've got another thing coming up here in the next few weeks. I've ordered hardware for that's going to take the Plex automations for my kid through the roof. Like, I'm super excited about it. Somebody suggested it in the comments on the tablet video. And I'm super excited. As soon as I read his comment, I found kind of a tutorial about what he was talking about, found all of the parts, ordered those from like AliExpress. They should be here in the next couple of weeks. And I'm super excited about getting that set up. Because like right now, he can push the button to turn his TV on and it will start playing whatever the last show was. With the new setup, we're going to get some NFC tags involved, and he'll actually be able to pick what playlist, what show, what movie, whatever he wants within what's allowed for him. And I'm really, really excited about getting that set up. I think that's going to blow his mind. Discord server of DB, there was some talk about it. There's a solution shared. In short, lower the minimum API version, run Docker again. Yeah, you seem to lose the Docker commands with the, yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. You put it better than I did, though. Yep. Bocce says I run Docker in the LXC like you do. Haven't messed with OCI yet. I haven't either. I probably won't until it's further developed. All my old Docker LXCs still run, but building new ones wouldn't work because of Proxmox 9. Interesting. I don't even honestly know what version of Proxmox I'm on right now. Prox Cube. Yeah, I know. And continue. Man, it won't even tell me until I'm logged in. I'm on 906, so it must be 9.1 where things started making big changes. I'm surprised they would do that on a .1 release instead of like a 10 release, because we're currently on 9. Let's see, just here from your Home Assistant journey summary video. Just want to say thanks. You're ahead of me, but it's been a similar path. Looking forward to learning more from your experience. I think so. Okay, so most of the videos that I release here on this channel are tutorials, right? Where I will walk you through a Docker container or an application or whatever, and show you what it can do. And I'm like, and here's how to install it. And that's been kind of status quo for the better part of a number of years. But often when, oops, I didn't need to do that. Often when I make a video that isn't a tutorial, when it's something like the Home Assistant thing that I did the other day, or there's been some other things that I have done that weren't, like the top 5 apps video that I did on August 27th. That one also did really well. That one didn't do well at all, but I know why. But my point is that like sometimes my videos where I'm just like, hey, this is what I'm running, this is what I'm doing. Here's something cool I found recently. I found very often that my non-tutorial videos do better than my tutorial videos, because often I feel like my tutorial videos are only for a certain group of people, and that's fine. But I feel like some of my video about what I actually run in my home lab, just kind of the little side ventures that I do from time to time, those videos often do a lot better. Like Home Assistant voice, when I set up the snarky AI, that video did really well for my channel anyway. And I feel like after looking through the numbers that Proxmox Data Center Manager, when that was in alpha, I did a video on that. That one did well. So I feel like tutorials are fine, but the real world things that I'm doing to make my home lab and my home better seem to perform better on the channel. And I feel like there may be at least a partial shift in my content style to do more stuff about like what I'm doing in my home to make my life better, to make my family's life better, to make, because the tutorials are, again, I feel like those need to be filler content. And and I don't mean filler content in a derogatory sense, but like if I didn't do something cool around my house this week, here's a Docker container, right? So that I can keep the content coming out on a regular basis. But I feel like the real world things that are out there that I've been doing perform better on my channel. And I should have noticed that after looking at, again, like Techno Tim's videos. His videos always do really, really well. And very few of his videos are actually tutorials. He might talk about an application and how it helped him and some of the hurdles that he ran into, but it's not a tutorial. It's more like he did a video about how he saved a bunch of space on his media server by running an application. And I still need to do that because I'd like to have, but anyway. So I found the more real life application content seems to perform better than the generic tutorial content does. So there may be a shift in that on the channel in the next couple of months. So because obviously I don't want to necessarily keep pigeonholing myself in as the Docker container guy, and because that's fine, but I want to do more. And I think doing more of the real life side quest stuff that I've done to make my house better would be better for the community, would be better for the channel, the whole bit. Let's see. Let's go back. I know I've missed some stuff here while I was rambling there. I run Docker LXC with Portainer and Swarm mode to manage all my Docker LXCs. I tried Swarm mode for a while, but haven't done that in a while, or haven't touched. I did it for a while just to see what it was like, and then decided it wasn't for me. I went high availability on Proxmox for a while, even though it was stupid for me to do that because I was doing it on Zima blades or Zima boards. I tried to do a workaround because 3 of my 27 LXC containers wouldn't run. Docker just crashed out. Geez, did you upgrade to Docker 29 there? I would wonder. I prefer to run Docker and LXCs. Don't care what the neckbeards say. That's fair enough. Probably supposed to make it into 9, but wasn't feature complete for launch. That makes sense. Oh, Debbie, that's hilarious. So I gotta screenshot that and share it with my wife. That's great. No, there we go. All right. Sorry, I gotta get a screenshot. This is great. Austin from Discord stopped in to say hi. Well, I appreciate that. TechnoTim videos get all the views. Due to his Hypno Light show in the background, right? I would love to have a more. I know I've got this dedicated space, but because of the shape of it, the shape that I made it when I built it, because I'm stupid, it really restricts how I can lay it out, and I don't want to tear down this wall and rebuild it. the wall back there. There's a wall there that I built, and I don't want to tear it out to rebuild it to give myself more space because it would take away from the storage in the other room. We're actually thinking about trying to possibly buy a house after the new year, as long as things keep going well. But we'll see what happens there. I'd love to see more Home Assistant automation stuff. There's not enough of it in Home Assistant content, and it can be complicated. I agree, and I think there will be some of that. The next Home Assistant video I've got will be in a few weeks, and it'll be kind of taking that Plex automation stuff for the kid again to a whole new level. I know personally I look more for videos of things that can make my family's personal life better. Not trying to make it so complicated. Absolutely. The Swarm mod for Portainer is because the Proxmox helper scripts like to create LXCs for their scripts. The only reason for the Portainer Swarm thing, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, Austin says, I agree with you when you say people like showcases more than tutorials. For me, I like to watch videos showcasing stuff, but not the tutorial, especially when I didn't plan to set it up in the first place. Absolutely. And I think if I can continue to find ways to, improve my house, whether it's with more Zigbee devices or more automations or more whatever, right? If I can find more ways to improve things via Home Assistant, or even if it's an app that improves my family's life, if I can figure those out, I think that would be, a lot better content than what I've been focusing on for so long. And I think, this Thingano or whatever it's called that Collins shared earlier with us with the camera firmware thing, that might be a video, because I didn't know anything about it, and I'm sure that means that there's a lot of other people out there that didn't know anything about it either. And so if because like I said, I've got a bunch of Whoop cameras laying around not doing anything because I don't want to be on that ecosystem. But if I can or RTSP these cameras, or IPv, or do the internet camera thing with these IP camera, there we go, with these Whoop cameras and make them usable again, then that opens all kinds of doors to simplify some things for me. So we'll see what happens. But I definitely am gonna have to check that out. Smart Home Solver and Paul Hibbert, dude. Paul is such a great guy, and the effort, the level of nonsense he puts into his videos with his little cut scenes and his like Star Wars references that he puts himself into the scene. Dude's really talented and funny, and I love that his wife doesn't seem to be upset about being made the evil villain in some of his little things. Love his content. Let's see. Although I saw a YouTuber say tutorial videos are good for long-term views, since you don't consider. Yeah, it's called evergreen content, and that's my channel thrived for the first few years with evergreen content, with the tutorial stuff, and that was fine for a while, and then my evergreen stuff started falling off. So I've got to start changing up my way of approaching content to still make it relatable, but more than just like, here's how to set up an application you'll probably never use. Because look, I want to give the developers of those applications the recognition that I think they deserve. But if it's not a good fit for the sake of the community that I'm fostering here with you guys, then I feel like, as I've been pondering this for the last few weeks and not putting out as much content because I've been kind of in a weird spot in my brain, it's because I've been thinking about how can I make my content better and more relatable for my audience. Something that's not just, here's another tutorial. And I think a lot of that's going to boil down to maybe some more Home Assistant stuff, some more quality of life improvements that people can implement for themselves. That sort of thing. So anyway, I think I'll come up with something. I've got some hardware here that I need to probably do something with. These are Home Assistant voice alternatives from Seed Studio that were sent to me by Seed Studio, but they only kind of worked sometimes. because there was a big update to Home Assistant that changed the firmware that was set up for these. But I'm sure I'll come up with something. He saw your video from a few years ago because of an issue that he had. I'd be curious to know who that was. It's not a big deal, but I'd be curious to know who that was, Austin. I definitely like the videos that lean more towards use case than all-out tutorials, but then link to the actual tutorial on GitHub or blog sites. And that's what I try to do. I always try to link to the original source material on GitHub or wherever, and then I've been trying to make blog posts to go along with all of my stuff as well, and that's been going fine. I always try to link all of that. Oh, yeah, Hardware Haven on Open Media Vault. Yeah, that was actually Knight, one of the other mods who's not here with us today, but he actually brought that up and shared that with me. So I really appreciated his call out to me there. I was genuinely shocked. But yeah, and I've had people ask me about Open Media Vault stuff recently. Media Vault 7. Because I've got one. Gosh, I guess I've only got like 2 Open Media Vault 7 videos. I don't know, man. But anyway. I am the lose. Anyway, it says another idea. Since you mentioned the Thingino can be playing with Frigate, I'm in the process of configuring it, and it's down another rabbit hole. I believe that. Those Seed Studio voice kits are a pain. I have a link to a site that has the files that make the work on the voice. Dude, Tom, if there's any way you can send me that link, you won't be able to share it here. If there's any way you can share that link with me so that I can get, I've got 2 of these on my desk, or at least parts of them. Yeah, this one hasn't even been opened yet. If you can share that link with me, I would love that. Because I'd love to get these up and running. I think they're cool little devices. But in their current state, they don't do me any good. Let's see. I don't know if you're on my Discord. That's my email address. You can send it there. However, man, that would be amazing if you could send those over to me. Oh, there you go, Collins. Yeah, if you're in the Discord, the automation channel would be the perfect way to do that. Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it. Been using OMB7. Your video was helping getting started. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, Rob. Honestly, Open Media Vault is how I got started in self-hosting because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about self-hosting when I got started. And so I started with 5. I loved Open Media Vault 5. 6 killed it for me. 7 came back. I made videos about Open Media Vault 6 and kind of was rude. Like some of the stuff they had done in 6 was just atrocious. And then when 7 came out there, they fixed a bunch of the stuff I had complaints about. I don't know if it was a direct result of my video. I'd like to think it was, but yeah, they fixed a lot of stuff in 7, and I like Open Media Vault. But with my current setup, I don't use it. Like I use Proxmox for everything. Let's see, Devog Alpha says, "Hey, great to see you again live. I was wondering how you host, manage hardware, etc. I have a tower PC, quite messy, looking to upgrade to a rack. Notice you're using at any disadvantage. The size, this thing's a beast. This is I think a 27U. It's huge, but you can get small racks. Like I've got that rack up there. I 3D printed that. So I mean, but you can get a small 4U or whatever, like 4 rack unit or whatever. So it's you just got to find what works for you, what your budget allows for. JJ says, have you tried Image with Pangolin? I haven't. Make sure if you set Image up with Pangolin, if you're using CrowdSec with that you add the Image security and plugin thing. I can't think what they're actually called anymore in CrowdSec, but there's
make sure you add the image-related security plugin for it. Otherwise, it will CrowdSec will make Pangolin think that you're attacking the server and will lock you out. I know that because it happened to me on stream a few months ago with Nextcloud. It was actually really funny, but it's not funny if you're in a hurry and trying to get stuff done. So make sure if you're using CrowdSec with image that you do the correct image plugin for that. I will say the biggest difficulty I face with home automation over industrial is the customer. Yeah, sometimes when you buy a rack, buy it bigger than what you need because you will grow. Yeah, I've had. I think this is my 4th or 5th rack. The big one back here, not the little one. Although that's probably my 5th or 6th. I don't know, because I've got these 2 in play right now, and I've got one in the other room holding some of my other networking gear. But I've always outgrown them. Like even this 27U is full for the most part. Got a StarTech 24U before the mini boom. That's awesome. My Synology DS 25 Plus arrives December. Super excited to finally get an NAS. That's awesome. Although hard drives prices have since I last checked. Oh yeah, I mean prices are up across the board, and there's all kinds of reasons for that we could talk about, but we won't. Spent $100 on 32 gigs DDR4 RAM in April, and now the same product costs like $300. Yeah, we were actually talking about that earlier, about how things have just gone up astronomically because of AI, effectively. Yeah, I can't imagine trying to buy new hardware right now. And like the Alaris, I don't mean to keep going back to the Alaris, but like at $3,000, that device kind of made sense. But if the RAM is going to cost them $1,000 per unit, they're either going to have to raise their prices or sell with very, very tight margins, and I just don't know that they're going to do that. I'll be curious to see what happens with the Alaris One. Of course, they're out of China, so I don't know how that'll work for them. Let's see. Good to know. As I was going to do Cloudflare DNS, no proxy, Pangolin image, using RackNerd as a VPS. Would CrowdSec be a part of that? It's only a part of it if you want it to be a part of it, JJ. When you go through the setup process of Pangolin, I would advise using the setup script that they have available to set up Pangolin. And it will ask if you want to install CrowdSec. And then if you say yes that you want to do that, it's going to be like, hey, look, that's fine. Are you willing to manage CrowdSec? And if you say no, then it will take you back and won't let you install. You don't have to install CrowdSec. You can say no when it asks you that question. But CrowdSec is actually a really, really helpful thing for extra security with really very little management, because it's a communal. Like CrowdSec it's crowd security, right? So if somebody somewhere else notices weird activity from an IP address or something, it will broadcast that out to the network that you're a part of when you install CrowdSec, and will let other people know to be on the lookout for this thing. So I advise, if you're going to do something like Pangolin, definitely use CrowdSec. Just know that for every application that you want to protect with CrowdSec, you want to make sure that there is an appropriate security plugin for it. Again, I can't think of what they're called. CrowdSec security plugins. I can't think of what they're called. Integrations. Bouncers, that's not the right word. It's not plugins. Man, I cannot think of what they're called. But anyway, just make sure that you get that the appropriate plugin or whatever it's called. It's not Bouncer. It's gonna bother me until I remember what it is. But anyway, if you do that, you should be fine. Just make sure to set it up appropriately. So I managed to catch 96 gigs of Corsair DDR5 on sale for $200
before all that. That's a bonkers deal. That's such a good deal. Why did a lot of YouTubers stop talking about self-hosting local AI? I don't know. I have no idea. Probably because, and this is only speculation, word vomit here, I would assume that they're probably getting paid to advertise non-local AI organizations. Just because, like, I get so many requests to do like sponsorship integrations for AI related applications, that there's more money to be made there than there is talking about local AI. Of course, I've turned them all down. Like, I don't remember the last time I did an ad integration, but I think that's a big part of it. Is like, I get offers literally daily to promote some new AI application that's somebody else's software as a service thing. So you'd be going to Claude, or you'd be going to some other person's or some other company's website and uploading your data there. And there's so much money to be made in advertising that local AI, and maybe also part of the problem is with local AI is you need semi-powerful hardware to make it run appropriately. And right now with the prices, it doesn't make sense. Like if 64 gigs of RAM is going to cost you $800, if a 5090 is going to cost you $5,000, depending on your situation, it might just be safer or easier to go to Claude or GPT or whatever. So content saturation might be another thing. There's definitely a lot of people out there talking about AI, but I think the other thing that gets me is all of the people that are like, oh, with my AI program, you can make $100,000 this month by doing this thing, that, or the other thing. And I'm just like, cool, but that's it's not a bouncer. Hold on, let's do CrowdSec. Nextcloud. Collections. There we go. Collection is the word. So when you go through the process of, I don't care. No, go away. So when you actually go through the process of setting up Pangolin and that whole thing, it will effectively, as you're answering questions, it's storing that data and building a Docker Compose for you. Right. And then when you finally say, yeah, we're done with this, let's launch, it will then deploy the Docker Compose that's built based on your answers. And you would just end up adding this to I think there's a collections line in the Docker Compose that the Pangolin installer will build. And I actually made a video where I show kind of where that is when I talked about installing Pangolin. And you just add that part to that line, and then you space and then add the next collection, and then space and the next collection. And then it will start loading up all of the security around whatever collection you've added. Have you ever gotten a sponsorship offer from an open source project that's 100% free? If so, that seems kind of sketchy. I've received sponsorship offers from organizations that have both a free and a paid version. SafeLine was one of those. Instead of taking their money, I made a video kind of tearing them apart for their pricing. But most of the stuff I get, the organizations will have either just a paid version or a free and a paid version. But so many of them are like, we want you to promote our service that requires people to sign up and use our application on our servers. And I'm just like, no, that's the exact antithesis of what I'm trying to share on my channel. My whole thing is I want everybody to bring as much as they can into their home, onto a mini PC or into a rack or whatever as they can, so that they're not dependent on third-party solutions. So when these companies ask me to reroute you guys to some SaaS platform. I'm just like, no, that's not what we do here. So I mean, you have to find someone who's interested in making others rich while giving out advice is not a scam. Yeah, and that's so many of them. Like there was somebody who reached out to me a while back who wanted me to get on a call with him to talk about his platform. It was basically a sales pipeline platform, but he was more interested in talking to me about the money that I could be making by getting other people to sign up under me. And I was like, oh yeah, that's called multi-level marketing, my dude. And he's like, no, it's not that. It's not that. It's not that. And he's like, I think if you did more research on it, you'd understand that that's not what it is. So I did more research on it, and everything I found out about this platform, I'm not going to name who they are because I don't remember, but like everybody's like, yeah, it gives multi-level marketing vibes across the board because they don't necessarily care to tell you about the product itself. They're more interested in convincing you to get other people to sign up under you. Yeah, classic pyramid scam. But you're not allowed to legally call it a pyramid scam anymore. It has to be multi-level marketing. Because reasons, but I was just like, once I proved to him that the vast majority of people who have looked into them think that they're also a multi-level marketing scheme, he quit responding to me. So yeah, local AI is too expensive for most people, both to buy the hardware and run it, and it's too inconvenient. Yeah, I agree. Like I've got with the Alaris, there's one application that I use on there regularly now, and it's the Whisper application. Let me find up. Oops. This. Holy cow, I remembered. No, oh shoot, come on, really? Well, crap. Anyway, on this Alaris, I've got something called Whisper installed, and it lets me just like upload my video to it, and then it generates the subtitles with timestamps for me, and I can do it on my laptop in there, and it's fine with WinWhisper, but Whisper on the Alaris uses the GPU, and it'll knock out a 25-minute video in like seconds, whereas my laptop, like even on a short video, will take me half an hour, 45 minutes. So, but so it's funny that like I've got this multi-$1,000 device that's mostly just being used to give me subtitles for my videos, because that's, and I play with other things on it too, but for the most part, that's what it does. And I think it's dumb, but it works. I really started liking AI once the I'll really start liking AI once the bubble burst and the drifting and scamming. Yeah, then we can get down to how it will actually be useful for all. Yeah, I agree. And it just, everybody's an AI professional all of a sudden. And I could probably also have AI crank out AI related scripts for me, and I could be a guru instantly, but that makes me feel cheap and dirty, and I don't want to do that. Sending a sponsorship offer, then getting a criticism video instead, the worst they can do is decline the offer. Right. Look, they eventually, they emailed me after they saw my video. And there was somebody else around the same time. I think it was Jim's Garage also made a video around the same time. And we both criticized them heavily for their $100 a month license for it. And having like basic notifications locked behind a paywall. We both criticized him for that, and we hadn't even talked to each other about it. And then they came up with this like $10 a month plan for Homelabbers, but there was still a lot of stuff that was paywalled. So they compromised where they felt they could, which I appreciated. I'll give them their kudos on that. But even still, I can set up. I have set up Pangolin, and I use Cloudflare, and it works without me having to pay anything. So once we have CUDA alternatives available and something like KVM, which is not proprietary, AI will be affordable. Current market is like Bitcoin mining, kind of, yeah. Let's see, for my local AI stuff, I've got an Intel B50 GPU. And Playground AI and the network VM running. Yeah. Find their local and not in the cloud. Right. Like I actually had another thing that I did a live stream on, a couple of months ago, where the devs were in the chat. I'll be damned if I can remember what it was. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Oh, the Sentinel Core. That's actually why I got that GPU that my wife's using now, was for the Sentinel Core, because they had an AMD requirement, because it was an ARM processor, to run Home Assistant with like Open Web UI and Olama with certain LLMs. And it kind of worked a little bit. We did some troubleshooting after the fact and mostly got it to work. But I didn't feel like rebuilding my entire Home Assistant setup to work on a dedicated device. It didn't make sense for me. So it's also why gamers suffer. Yeah, I had some time to play earlier this summer expecting GTA 6, but then hardware got played. Looks like a massive scheme, so everyone makes money pretty much. Yeah, the AI is where everything is going right now. And that sucks, because not everybody wants to do AI. Some people want to just go game. Some people just want to, have a decent machine for rendering videos or simulations or things that aren't AI related, but can't afford it anymore because AI has bought up the entire market worth of hardware. So appreciate the honesty and not holding back on criticism videos or fear of not getting sponsored by them in the future. Honestly, man, thank you for acknowledging that. It's cost me so much money over the years. my like trying to be a morally good person has cost me so much money over the years. But I sleep better knowing that I'm not scamming my audience. Like, I've always been somebody who's afraid of being in trouble or having a bad reputation. So I try not to do that on the channel. And like I said, it's cost me a lot of money over the years. But I think my brain is better for it. So JJ says, thanks for all the info. You'll have a wonderful day. Nighty night. Well, have a good one. Thanks for stopping by for a while. Appreciate chatting with you. A good night's sleep is the best reward anybody can have. Great job. Thanks. I mean, it's like, I get anxious about all kinds of things. Like, my anxiety's been through the roof. My doctor has been helping me with that a little bit. So what are your thoughts on Raspberry Pis now in home labbing, especially now that we have many PCs and Zima boards? I think Raspberry Pis are very good for very specific use cases. This TV, what you're seeing here, is running on a Raspberry Pi because that's the software I found would work. Raspberry Pis had their moment, and it was pre-COVID. Because of the market shortage, the supply chain issues, that sort of thing, they never really caught up. And while they were lagging behind, many PCs became more commonplace, more powerful, more efficient, more affordable. So for what you would spend on a Raspberry Pi 5 with 16 gigs of RAM, in fact, let's look that up together. I'm curious. Raspberry Pi 5. 16 GB. Let's look at CanaKit. 16 gigs, so $130, $200 for the full kit with some storage, that sort of thing. You can get a pretty decent used workstation for that same price that will be more compatible with more applications. This is good if you've got a specific use case or a specific need. This is good if you already got one. But to try to switch this over to a Raspberry Pi, I think isn't worth the headache, because again, if we go to like eBay, let's do a workstation desktop, right? Like, okay, that's a bit much, but for a couple $100, you can get, an Intel i7. I don't know what version of Intel i7 that is. But for $120, let's
Sure. Let's match that. $174, and you've got something more capable than a Raspberry Pi. It's going to use more energy, obviously, but it's going to be more powerful. It's going to be more compatible with so many things out there. Okay, this is a 4th gen, so it won't be as power efficient, but like Jay Collins says, 8th gen Intel is perfect because it's got the iGPU and it's got Intel Video Quick Sync or whatever it's called. So, and you're not ever going to get that with a Raspberry Pi. So if you can find something 8th gen or newer, I would honestly go that route because you're going to have a better time overall. Oh, there's an N150 on eBay for 12 gigs for $115. Yeah. Many PCs are similar price, better specs and I/O. Yep. My first Homelab machine was a Raspberry Pi 4 8 gig model back in 2022. Cost me $200. Yeah, and look, I had a Raspberry Pi that I ran for a while as well, and they're great for certain use cases. Again, back then it made sense. Now at this point it doesn't. Quick question: on average, how much time TV runs? I have a Sony Bravia extended warranty. Has been yesterday, green line, but 2 years, 8 months. Man, I don't know. I buy cheap TVs. All of the TVs in my house are Roku, or TCL Roku TVs. This has been on consistently since I put it up, and it's fine. This is all it's good for because it's slow, but I don't have any dead pixels here or anything. We've got a 65-inch in the TV that we've had for about a year. It's been fine. It doesn't get much use, though. We upgraded our TV in our bedroom recently and gave the kid our old one. It would be on for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 or 3 years, and it looks brand new. And I think we paid like $300 for that TV. Brand new, delivered the whole bit. So, in fact, the 65-inch TV in our living room, I paid $400 delivered, like December, like right before Christmas last year. It was a great deal. So I picked it up, got it delivered because it was too big to fit in my car. So as far as Bravia is concerned, I couldn't tell you. I've got an old acquaintance that was very much all about Sony screens, that sort of thing. I don't know. I just got 2 small form factor optiplexes. I think it's working well for my first Homelab setup. Absolutely. I think that's great. Your Discord server's helped me so much over the years with picking new hardware good for the price. Since then, my Homelab would not be how it is without them. Thank you to you and your members. Well, thank you so much for being a part of that. Jason said I paid under $150 for the G-Tech N150. Yep, that's a great price for that. Would you suggest the Unified Cloud Gateway Fiber? I don't know. I don't have one. I have the Hisense that run Google TV, and they're cheap for the price. Linus from Linus Tech Tips has been all about Hisense lately. Apparently, they're great panels. I always thought they were cheap, crappy TVs, but he's been all in on them lately, thinking they're great. So maybe they've changed. What's the latest on Podman admin? No idea. I tried Podman once. I messed around with it a little bit. We actually talked about it a little bit in our live stream last week. It's good for security reasons and that sort of thing, based on what I've read. But I don't know that the learning curve there. If you've been on like Docker and using Docker Run and that sort of thing, you could spend the same amount of time or maybe even less learning how to secure your Docker setup rather than jumping ship over to Podman. I say that secondhand, though. Like I said, I used it very briefly. The guys in the live stream last week had brought up that you can secure Docker just as well pretty easily. Because really, I think the only benefit it's got over, and I'm speaking out of
out of very little experience is that it's rootless, which is great. But if you create a new user on your system and use the UID and GID for your applications based on the non-root user, you're rootless at that point anyway. TVs have gotten cheap over the years compared to 10 years ago. Shocked you can get a TV nowadays for like $200. Absolutely, like a 43-inch Roku TCL, whatever, a couple $100 for 4K HDR. Hell yeah, man. Podman needs more work to equal just Docker alone. I agree with that. Your latest video with the cheap tablets as a control panel, so cool and smart. I've never seen anyone do that before in their home lab. Somebody else mentioned it, or I saw another video of somebody else doing it. And what I mean is I saw the thumbnail of somebody else doing that. And then somebody in our Discord recently had mentioned that they were doing it. And it was actually that same person in Discord, whose name escapes me at the moment, who had mentioned the charging thing. So that, if it gets down to like 25%, the smart plug turns on, charges it to like 90%, turns off. Thank you for tea. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So it's definitely not a new unique thing that I've done. But when I saw it, I knew I wanted to try it, and it's working really well. I've had a couple of little hiccups that were easy enough to fix, but I'm really looking forward to my next round of updates. Again, mostly for the kids' room, because I think he's going to love being able to pick his shows more easily without having to like use a controller or whatever. So, but I like it. Like anybody who's come over and has seen the tablet next to my front door has asked, "What is that?" And then I show them, and their mind is just blown, because that's very like high-end home kind of thing. And I do not live in a high-end home. I have pieced together things that simplify our lives. This is probably Earl Grey. I actually can't have green tea. I lost green tea about 10 years ago due to medical stuff, because it can actually affect blood pressure medication and blood thinner medication. So my doctors told me no more green tea, and that I used to drink green tea all the time. And they took it away from me, probably to keep me alive. So probably Earl Grey. Oh, you know what? I can tell you right here. This is Bigelow. Oh, this is Orange and Spice from Bigelow. Nice. But yeah, no more. I can only have black tea, and it makes me sad. Oh God, that is hot. But it's really, oh God, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. I like that a lot. Green tea and black tea is bad if you have heart blood pressure issues. Yeah, black tea is not as bad. Like I was told that I could have that, but I was told absolutely not on the green tea. So, but we get big boxes of like bulk tea from a couple of different companies that we like, and Bigelow happens to be one of them. But yeah, so we drink a lot of tea. Samzik says, "Is that a Mac Mini on the top at the very?" No, that I don't remember. That's a B-Link SEI 13. Like all three of those are just regular old mini PCs that's running a high availability cluster from Canonical. In fact, that's one of the videos I need to get finished up. Is I need to record that video about that whole stack there. It very much looks like a Mac Mini, and I kind of wish it was. I would love to test out self-hosting on a Mac Mini, but I'm cheap, and I don't want to buy one just to test it out. I'm sure I could get one. Of course, I say that. eBay Mac Mini. It's an M1 chip, 8 gigs of RAM. Oh, see, that's better. I mean, for the extra $50 or whatever. I guess they're both on sale. Oh, it's from the same guy. But yeah, I'm cheap. as much as I would love to do that, I've got other things I'd rather spend my money on. Do you have a 3D printer you could use to make cards or hold tags, RFID? Yep, I do. It's sitting right over here. I found a project. So Tom, that's kind of what the next upgrade for the kit is going to be, is what you're talking about there. And I've already got, like I said, I ordered the hardware based on what the tutorial that I found said. They also had the 3D models that were used in that project. So I'll have a box that will hold the microcontroller and the RFID reader that I'll have to like solder together and flash. So I have one box for that, and then I'll have another box to actually put the cards in, just to store them. And those will stay, on his wall right next to the tablet, just so that it's convenient. But yeah, I've already got all of that stuff stored on my 3D printer, so that when I actually, when everything is getting close, we're probably talking about the same video. I actually haven't seen a video on it. I found a written tutorial. And I will probably, unless I absolutely have to, I'll probably stay away from watching somebody else's video tutorial. I will absolutely reference the written tutorial, but I've had too many instances of where I've made a video and somebody else has made a video, and that person's community came at me for ripping them off, which is fine in normal circumstances, except that my videos came out before the other person's videos. And I had to make them go back and look at the timestamps when those videos came out. So the previous I don't have anything about RFID tags at this point. I've not really even considered it until recently, but I think it's kind of a cool idea. Yeah, we all breathe the same air. They need to get over it. Yeah, but I think doing this project for the kids' room with the RFID tags may get me more inclined to do more stuff like that. Just because I think it would be fun to have that as an option. But yeah, I haven't done much with RFID stuff for a while. Let's see. Just wonderful start to my. It looks like my mini Swarm A2 is jacked black screen now getting. Oh man, hate it when you get bad hardware, man. That sucks. Tribalism is bad. I agree. I really do. In fact, we talked about. No, that was afterwards. After the stream was over last week, and I was chatting with the guys on the stream, like after the stream, we were talking about tribalism, and how rampant it runs in certain areas. When we were kind of talking about, if you use a third-party VPS to host a VPN to access your home network, you're not really self-hosting. Because you're not truly. It's not all on your hardware. It's not all on your network. It's somewhere else. So you're not really self-hosting. Those sorts of people who are so much like that frustrate the crap out of me. And it's whether it's the amount of elitism there or like when Gamers Nexus and Linus had their thing and people were like screaming at each other in the comments. It's just like, bro, like he didn't like the way they handled it. And they're like, you know what, you're right, I could make some changes here. And he just kept going after him. I'm like, I've obviously got my preferences. I don't watch Gamers Nexus all that much. But I also don't always agree with what Linus says either. So but the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is that we as people are tribalists because
it's what got us this far, over the last however many thousands or millions or whatever you happen to believe. Um, it's what got us to this point, was saying, okay, we're a community of people, and we're going to make sure that we're all together. We believe the same things, and we're going to move forward this way. And that's how tribes across the world continue to build and grow and that sort of thing. So tribalism to a certain degree is good, but when you're super offended by everything everyone says because it doesn't agree with your belief system or your tribe's belief system, dude, it's we're well into the year 2000, and there are better ways to handle those things. Let's see. Is Wise the best camera brand for self-hosted surveillance? No. Man, Collins will better answer that, I think. Um, Collins and Nighthawk have both jumped over to a different brand, whose name escapes me. Um, I thought I had it and I lost it. Let's see. I'm an ally, but I'm tired of them not working with others with different views. Here's the thing: there's extremists on both sides of the aisle. There are people that are just like, if it helps somebody I don't agree with, then nobody ever should get any help at all. And there's some people that's like, oh, Reolink, thank you. But then on the other side, they're like, oh, well, you didn't use the right term here, so now I hate you. And there's extremism on both sides of that. And I try to live somewhere right in the middle. Because that's just kind of where I am, and it's not to be what is that, a fence sitter. It's just a matter of like, I think there are I'm kind of I'm in the middle kind of person. Oh, let's see. Cool mug, nicest person ever. Oh yeah, yeah. I think somebody got that for my wife years ago, but yeah, it's got a nice handle on it. I really like the handle. Had to power cycle the switch on the network rack. That sucks. Reolink is the right one. Yep. I have SVTs and are not allowed any caffeine at all, but I do drink decaf green tea daily without issues. Man, that sucks. I can't imagine going without caffeine. Austin says, thank you for another amazing live stream. I love those. Got to go for now. Well, thank you for hanging out for a while. Appreciate it. Less stress in the middle is true. Except that, like when somebody on the extremist side of a thing you believe in really makes it hard for you to agree with your own belief. Again, on either side of the center, sucks, man. It really, really sucks. You're doing a network event or network update 5 minutes before a Fortnite event, man. You're never going to get this cup, dude. Not from your kids. Jason Budney says, "Got to bounce. Have a great day." Yeah, I think I'm going to start the bounce process here as well. Honestly, surprised I was able to go for 2 hours, but we're coming up. 2 hours and 5 minutes. Holy cow! But yeah, so yeah. Sorry, my nose is runny. There's a napkin. Something I can use there. Tissue. What container did we review today? We didn't. We didn't. I started to look through it, and it didn't ever go anywhere. Do you have a Docker in production video? I don't understand your question. Do you have a Docker in production video? Do you mean like what apps I'm currently hosting? Or do you mean something else? I'm curious about that. That's way back. That's not it. Let's go back. That's not it. No, that was data center manager. Sorry, I'm trying to find.
because I did a video a while back of all of the different apps that I'm running. Yeah, it was this one. Like not testing local, but set up for a small business intranet. I don't have anything like that. Yeah, I don't typically do small business stuff because I'm not in a small business. I don't know what the needs would be, or what what the layout for something like that would be in the long run. Christian Lampa does a lot of stuff in that regard. You might check out Christian Lampa's channel. You're looking for this guy. He does a lot of business related content. Is with regards to different applications and configurations and setups and that sort of thing. So you should definitely check him out. He does a really good job of explaining stuff. That would be my recommendation there. Recently, my main Tailscale node started to go down every now and then, which means I have to restart the Tailscale service manually. Gonna use a WireGuard on VPS as a backup for now. That's a good idea. You might run when you say your main Tailscale node, are you talking about like on your local network that's been having issues? Because if that's the case, then you should be able to add a health check to that, and then use some sort of something to restart the application automatically if the service is unhealthy. That would be my suggestion there. I think it would probably save you some headache if you went that route. Oh, itch. All right, guys. I got to wrap this up. I'm starting to fall off here pretty quickly. So I want to thank everybody who hung out for a while today. Thank you for chatting, for lurking, for viewing, for just being part of the community. I really appreciate you. I wouldn't be able to do this, and I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for you guys. Really, really happy that we've got the community that we do here. So I'm going to try to get a video out this week as long as all of this clears up. Yeah, like Colin said, if you liked the stream, go ahead and give it a like on your way out. That'd be amazing. But I think with that said, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, have a great weekend, you guys. If you're not part of the Discord, come join, come hang out, come say hi. Even if you just pop in to say hi every once in a while, that's cool. Would love to see you over there. But yeah, I think I'm going to go. I hope you guys have a good weekend.